Today is part 3 of our continuing series of My 6 Pillars to Thrive. Hi, I'm Brooke Lyons. A few years ago, I lost 50 pounds and finally got my life back. I've uncovered the tools that allowed me to keep the weight off and help hundreds of my clients also lead a healthy and vibrant life. Losing weight is only the beginning, and being happy and healthy is so much more than just a number on the scale. So join me as we discover how to thrive beyond weight loss. Thanks so much for joining us again. I'm Brooke.
I'm Victoria.
And today we're going through the purpose pillar. When I wrote the pillars and put them together, I was putting together what the wellness wheel is. And it just didn't feel like me. Mm-hmm. Like I wanted to think about these issues and like know what I was doing right and know what I needed to work on and kind of rate myself. But I needed a simple little one-pager to be able to do it. So that's why I came up with the 6 pillars. But the purpose pillar is fun. Mm-hmm. Because what do you think of when, no wrong answers, what do you think of when you think purpose?
Like, what is your purpose? Or, like, specifically, like, the Barbie movie is what, like, when I first read that. Because, I mean, there's, like, the whole part where American, I forget her last name, she has her whole monologue that she's like, you have to do this, but you can't be too much like that. You have to. And then Barbie's
You have to be pretty, but not too pretty. You have to be smart, but not too smart.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And Barbie's like, I'm not, like, she's stereotypical Barbie. She's like, I'm not pretty enough to be stereotypical Barbie anymore. Like, that was my purpose, and now I don't have a purpose because it changed. And I feel like, yeah. And yeah.
It changes. It changes.
Yes.
You know, I wish there was a way that we would say, this is why having generations around us, I think, is so important. Because, like, when you're in high school and you're like, oh, one day I'll have a family, if that's a dream of yours. It doesn't have to be, but wasn't. I never thought about it. But then you get this baby. Well, first of all, you meet somebody and you're like, oh, I want to have a family with you. And then you have a family and then you're like, what's wrong with me? I'm not happy. And you're like, nobody says, honey, you're just going through changes. Like, you don't have the freedom you had when you were in high school because now you found your partner and you got to like, oh, like, are you going to be home at 6 or, do you want to go out and you have to make plans with somebody and live your life with another person. And then after that, you got this baby maybe, and the baby doesn't care what your sleep schedule is. Mm-hmm. So you're tired and you're doing all the things and then you're trying to feed this thing and feed yourself so you can feed this thing. And then you got another person in the room that's probably not contributing in the way that you wish they would in that very moment. So you got to communicate that. Like, life is always changing, but we feel badly because we can't keep up. But you are.
Yeah.
It was like when I was in labor with Matthias. We had a midwife, and I had both my kids at home. And so I'm like, I can't do this anymore. She's like, you are doing this. I'm literally, a baby's coming out of me. She's like, you're not going to stop this from happening. She didn't say that, but though it's amazing how many things you forget in your life, but when something has such impact, it's why we hold grudges. It's why we have people that we, have ill will against, because sometimes we just forget that they were having a human moment too. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she said that to me, and I always remembered it. You're doing it. You're just doing it. So just keep going. So when we're talking about the purpose pillar, I love that you said that, because it is indeed those big goals. I've recently become allergic to the word goals. I'm telling you right now.
Okay. Sounds good.
It's my uniqueness, right? It's back to my uniqueness pillar. I don't love being like everybody else, for one thing, but I desire to be like included, right? Like everybody else. So it's this weird thing.
It's called FOMO.
Is it? Fear of missing out?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that for me. It's my upbringing. It's me wanting to belong and have friends, but always feeling like I'm not quite good enough to have that. But then looking around and being like, I have some really good friends and we do a lot of really cool things together. Yeah. So I just sketch that out. Mm-hmm. But my little girl always reminds me that has been in my past. But that's okay, because there's lots of people I work with right now that's in their present. Mm-hmm. So I want to just push that for a second. So when I thought a purpose, I wanted to like create more peace and harmony in my life. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you remember when Matthias was like 3 or 4, like I had I'll say it's a bad temper. I don't know how to call that. But I was just so stressed out because I didn't have any support in our life. And Dad was traveling a lot and working long hours. And I just didn't have any family and people around me to help. And I kind of lost my shit a little bit. I started yelling at him. But it was the day that I woke up and went, oh, that's the opposite. I want the opposite of how I was raised. I don't want to repeat the same thing. And so I took a sticky note And back then, your grandparents lived in Prairie du Chien, and the 3M factory is there. So once a year, you could go and buy like stacks of stuff you don't need. And so
I wish I had that experience. I just called that Target.
Sticky notes galore. But anyways, we had a big pile of them.
Yeah.
So we, I wrote it on a sticky note. All I wanted was peace. And I realized for me, if I want to have the purpose, my purpose was to have harmony and peace in my life. And so I wrote peace. Actually, I wrote an arrow, and I wrote, this is actually a whole class I teach, but I basically wrote an arrow, and I wrote peace at the top. And it was like on our stairs, it was on my fridge, it was like in my bathroom beside my bed. Because at every moment, I became acutely aware of the fact that I'm either doing things that are creating what I want to live, or they're like taking me away from it. In fact, sometimes they're ripping me away from that peace and happiness. And I didn't just want it for me, I wanted it for you guys too. So, and for like, I was working from home at the time. I was publishing a magazine, and so I needed that for my clients. I needed all those things to kind of come together in this foundational thing, which is kind of where, the 6 pillars started. So, but anyways, so when we think about our meaning and purpose, what does that mean to you? Like, what are you working on that has meaning and purpose? And then, like, we have to start deciding whose meaning and purpose that really is.
Yeah.
We were just talking a little while ago about, we're both chiropractors, so when she announced that she wanted to be a chiropractor, we're like, yeah, that's awesome. But then you decided you didn't want to be. So tell us about that.
Well, I mean, so when senior year is kind of when everyone's like, oh, you have to decide what you're going to be for the rest of your life, which is not true.
Nope.
And you can change that at any point in your life. I mean, you didn't start this business till you were like 50.
53, actually.
So, life changes. But I told myself that I had to choose between music and going to school for music and going to school for chiropractic. And then COVID happened. So I was like, okay, well, I don't know if music's going to go back to the way it was. So then I chose chiropractic. And it was just I just looked up to how committed you and Dad were. Like, because Dad, that's his life, that's his identity, is chiropractic. And I was like, this is not what I want to do. And that was very stressful because I'm like, how do I tell my parents who this is their life, this is what they love, and this is how they help people, that this is not the way that I want to help people, this is not what I want to do.
Yeah.
And it felt like, yes, I knew that at some point you would get over it and you would be like, that's okay. I knew you're going to be upset, but I didn't want to be the one to make the upset happen. Yeah. So, yeah.
I mean, but you had to find meaning and purpose in your life. Your surprise was that we were like, oh, okay, well, then what do you want to do?
Yeah.
We get in our stories.
Don't be wrong. I still do get the occasional comment, you could go back to chiropractic.
Not from me.
No, not from you. Not from you.
and he's just joking.
Oh,
because it's just a funny thing. We like to joke around a lot. But there's meaning and purpose in all our lives. And it doesn't have to be what's in somebody else's. And usually it's from our upbringing. Like, I was told I should be a parole officer when I did that testing in high school. Yeah, truly.
Did you know they start that in middle school now?
Oh, they should never do it, period.
I don't think at any point you should look at a child who has its entire future and tell them that they're the goodest job, like the best job they can get is a garbage person. My person who sat next to me in that class was like, oh yeah, my top person is a magician or a garbage man. And I said, how do you tell a child in middle school that is what they equate to?
Talk about putting people in a box.
Yeah.
But here's the truth about that, though. I was a professional cheerleader for the CFL. And
Canadian Football League. Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you for the Canadian conversion. So thank you for U.S.-splaining it.
In the box right here.
So back in the day, I don't even remember what I was saying. It was something about this. It'll come back to me. That's awesome.
Sorry.
It's good. It's good. I got it. So one of the things for me was because I felt so badly about myself, but I could dance and, I could do promotions because I was always being bullied like that makes you aware of everything going on around you. Having an upbringing where that's going on it makes you very aware of the things that are going on around you. And so while I was cheerleading, I would volunteer for everything because while I'm an introvert, but I'm good at service. And so I can smile. I was polite. I was intelligent, so I could have good conversations. I had barriers, so I wasn't going to go sorry, but sleep with the players, which was against the rules. And I was a rule follower because that's how I thought, I wouldn't get in trouble at home. And so I was a really good rule follower. But I started public speaking because one of my girlfriend's mother was the dean of a college. And she said we would hang out at our house all the time. They had a beautiful home and a pool and everything. So we're sitting back there. And her mom, though, would ask us questions, which now I'm an adult and doing the same to you. I know she was just trying to help us grow some of our awareness. And her daughter, Chantal, she still is an amazing human being. But that's because her mom raised her to think things and just ponder, what if this could be? Anyway, so she said something like, would you speak to my class, to the all-school assembly? And I was like, I guess I could. Because I had my cheerleading hat on. I said yes. Well, I got home. I was like, oh, but I'm just me. What do they need from me? So back then, it was in the early 90s, and there was no internet. There was all that stuff. So I went to the library and I actually started learning about feminism because I thought that's kind of what they wanted from me. And then I was like, I'm not that. I don't hate men. I just think women are great.
Feminism is hating men.
Well, it's evolved, and it depends on what the person thinks, I think. Tell me more about that.
I don't know if I really want to get into that right now. I feel like that's a total other podcast.
Well, but at the time, I was in my 20s, and I was just like, why are they saying that we have to fight this? Because I've never been a fighter. I've been hey, let's just find our new direction, because I would rather ebb and flow into things and feel at ease about them, because I've been doing this peace thing, harmony all my life.
Well, and actually, so when the Barbie, like I said, when the Barbie movie came out, people said this is a feminist movie, and so some people were offended by that and were like, that's because it's hating on men. But then if you haven't watched the Barbie movie, watch it with your mom. If your mom is still around, if you talk to your mom, because it was a total different experience, and it was very heartwarming, and we just had conversations that I feel like we wouldn't have had if we weren't watching
a catalyst.
It. It was you were like, I don't understand why people are saying this movie is a certain way. That's not how I perceived it, and I was like, that's not how I perceived it either.
Right.
So that I feel like is.
To me, entertainment just needs to be entertainment.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it with a grain of salt. Somebody's always trying to sell something. Always.
Yeah.
Always. So I just kind of looked at it, but with that history of trying to research how to talk to these people about what I thought, because she said, you want to be a doctor and you're a cheerleader. How does that make sense? And I'm like, how does it not make sense?
Yeah.
I can't be pretty and smart? Because literally my dad would always say, you could just be you. I just didn't believe him yet. And so anyways, yeah, I mean, I can't remember what I was saying. I must have been eating too much sugar lately. I really haven't been.
Distracting you. I'm sorry.
I think I just need some sleep. But anyways, back to the pillow. Or you want to hit it? So there's just so many things. So when she asked me to do that, I did all this research. I found out about feminism. I decided I wasn't a feminist. But I found it interesting in that movie because a lot of the things in that Barbie movie, what I found interesting was that it seemed so unreasonable to be asking the woman to do all these things, or the man to do all these things, whereas that's where the women had been asked to in a family that's close to me, if everybody was sitting down, one of the kids would say, Mom, can you go get me a drink? And I'm like, get your butt off the floor. You're sitting down right beside her. Why she got to go get your drink? But when it was the men having to do those things, it seemed wrong somehow. So I think fundamentally we know that these things are at the core not equal.
Yeah.
But it's weird when the roles are reversed, and that's why I thought the movie was quite brilliant. Because if it pissed you off, it means go look at it. Why?
Yeah.
Look at your pillars. That's what I always do. I go back to my pillars. What was that? Where was that touching me?
Yeah.
So when this back in the 90s, asked me to do a public speaking, it was really my very first one. I don't have a lot of pictures of all the things because we didn't do cameras. Our cameras didn't have our phones didn't have cameras at the time. But I have one picture of that. I was wearing this green long sweater. I felt really grown up. I was wearing heels and my hair was done and all the stuff. Cheerleading, you look like that all the time. But this was a professional thing, right?
Yeah.
I was going to speak. And the reason this story came up is because we said garbage. So I don't know what got over me, but I didn't speak about anything that I learned. Something ticked me to say, if you want to be in Canada, we call them something different. I can't remember what it is now. But because of my Mr. Becker story, right? He was one of the most important men in my life, and he was just a janitor.
Yeah.
No, he was not just a janitor.
Yeah.
He made me understand that I was a whole human and perfectly fine in my uniqueness, like who I am is perfectly fine. And so I was speaking, and all of a sudden I said, like, my brother has this picture of New York when the garbage, what do you call them? Not custodians.
Garbage trucks? Garbage men?
It's not garbage men, because that's not, women are also garbage
people?
men. The people who pick up the garbage in New York, they went on strike. And there were mountains of garbage, and the rats went crazy. My brother, for years, had a picture of that, because there's, like, some, like, people are, like, watching all bougie, like, with their fancy dogs, and then there's piles of garbage behind them. Yeah. It was, like, the dichotomy of, like, what, you know, the contrast of that. And so that flipped in my head. And I was like, if you want to be picking up that garbage and you want to take that bag and you want to sling it off over that truck, like, we need you. Look at New York when they went on strike, everybody's life went to crap.
Yeah.
Because it smelled, it was nasty, the rat problem got worse. I mean, everything was terrible because somebody wasn't doing what we think is a basic level job.
Yeah.
There are no basic level jobs. If somebody cleans your room when you're at a hotel, not a basic level job, because somebody puked in that room a couple times ago.
Yeah.
And you better be glad that they're there. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just the reality of understanding that whoever you are, you're important. And to remember that.
Yeah.
Because when she said that, that's what I did.
Yeah. I think that no matter what you're doing, you're important really feeds into our question today. So if you ever want to send us any questions, you have any questions, you can send them to support@mybodybella.com. We would love to answer them on here. As well as finding these 6 pillars that we've been talking about, you can go to our website, mybodybella.com, and find the 6 pillars on there. But so the question that I chose today was, I recently retired and I find myself feeling like I need a little time, that I need to fill all my free time, but I'm more tired than ever. Can you give me some ideas to get my energy back?
I think we talked about this in the last episode. You want to hit it? The last episode, I was talking about how I didn't want to do this 7 o'clock talk because I thought I'd be too tired. I didn't realize the physiology of my body was just expressing that I didn't have oil and gas in my car.
Yeah.
Right? I can't imagine. So I've retired before. When the kids were in high school, my husband was traveling so much. I gave up my practice. I decided I didn't want to do the publishing anymore, and I stayed home with them. Truth is, it didn't take me long before I started another business, but that's, it's the way that we work. So retiring, it's just different for everybody, I suppose. But like for me, I was around the house all the time. And so when I'm bored, when I'm stressed, when I'm thinking or processing something, what's the easiest thing to do but to walk right in that kitchen that's right in the middle of my house and open the fridge? And I think a lot of times, like that's probably when I started really gaining the weight, because I had 30 pounds before I hit menopause, and then I gained 20 pounds, boom, like with menopause. But I think it's because I led myself down that pathway being home, retired before that.
Yeah.
So, and it's also difficult because if we have any emotional things that we haven't, gone through, like when my mom's husband died, we used to call them the hyenas because they laughed all the time. But everybody was pushing her to take drugs. And I'm like, Mom, like, you're sad because the most important person of your life just died, right? And you had a lot of fun together. And I was just like, cry when you need to, write the things down, like process this so that it doesn't come back at you later. I'm not a mental health therapist, right? I can't tell you anything more than that. But with my mother, a conversation with my mother, I knew she just needed to feel her life a little bit. So when you retire, there's some feelings going on. Yeah. And usually when we have some extra time, it's all the things that we did wrong, right? Like, oh, I wish I'd done this with the kids, and now they're grown, so I wish I spent more time with them. And it's those 5 things. There's a we should pull it out. It's 5 things. It's like 5 things before I die, or 5 things I regret, or something I would have changed. But one of them is the time and the relationships that we have. That's why it's in the pillars. That's coming up in one of the pillars. It's connection, not with others, but also with ourselves. Yeah. Because this is the opportunity right now is to just kind of write down the things that, like, if anybody. Remember when we talked about the lady with the cookies? Mm-hmm. She didn't need a cookie. She didn't even care about the cookie.
It was just ingrained in her.
Because she did good. Yeah. She rocked her program. She lost 50 pounds in 3 months. So she's like, I am a rock star. I deserve a cookie. So think about why are you in the fridge right now? Why are you spending all your days alone? I'll tell you, most people who retire are busier than they've ever been.
Well, and I feel like it's definitely different because I like working at the country club as well. Yeah. I have some members who they golf and that's what they do with their buddies on the weekends. Like they'll play a round or two or golf. And now they retired middle of summer and I've never seen them so much. Oh, I've seen them all the time. Good. And so I feel like if you kind of have that a hobby or something, sometimes you go and you kind of focus on that then once you retire because you have more time for that.
Yes.
There's one member who I think he played in total of the summer, played almost 2,000 rounds of golf.
Wow.
Everywhere.
That's great though. That's outside. It's energy.
Yeah. But I was like, that's amazing.
It is amazing. Well, and this brings us back to this purpose pillar because if we can establish this peace and this comfort in our lives, ask yourself a couple of questions. Mm-hmm. You know, what are you so busy doing? Is it things that are expressing your uniqueness? Is it stuff that's that fulfillment? Do you feel that? Or are you just doing what you think you're supposed to be doing?
So then along that, what would you say to someone who is retiring and they feel like they have lost their purpose? And I feel like there is a era to the society, our society, that you have to have a purpose. Just like when you said, it was probably nice that woman had you come and talk to her class because throughout middle school and high school, you're told that you need to go to college in order to have a job, or you need to figure it out, and no one encourages you to go into college and be undecided for those 2 years that you're getting your gen eds. Everyone tells you that you need to choose something, and then there's at least for me, there's a hinge of guilt when you figure out that's not actually what you want to do or need to be doing.
Right.
So what would you say to someone who feels just like they just need a second to figure out what their purpose is and feel like there's a lot of pressure to decide on that right now?
Well, so one of the nicest things, it's a coach conversation. The thing that's nice about having a coach is because they're going to say, I don't like this red lipstick. And they're going to be like, oh, what color of lipstick would you like? Your friend would be like, try my pink. It's going to be great on you. And you're like, I hate pink. Whatever. But a coach's job is to pull the questions and the answers out of you. So when you say, I don't like my lipstick, they'll be like, oh, do you wear lipstick? And you'd be like, you know what? I don't even want to wear lipstick. I'm going to go natural. You need somebody in your life that brings out questions so that you can answer them, whereas friends don't usually. They just have conversations with your friends. And that's what the 6 pillars is, though. It's your coach. It's your coaching. Because you can answer these pillars, but the job is always constantly to reflect. And I think, I've never been a man, I can't speak to this, but as a woman, even when your dad is traveling for business, I have to take care of, is the dog taken care of, right? If I'm traveling on business, guess who still takes care of the dog? So we've had periods in our life when I've tried to make sure that he takes care of the dog when he needs to. But to be honest, it's easier for me to take care of because it's not on my mind then, because all the things are on my mind. But so it's just where am I now? Where am I going to be fulfilled in my life? Do I have to do all these things? Is there something that I've been always wanting to do? Do I want to go back and horseback ride or something? Your grandpa was talking about flying again, which he's in his 80s. I'm not suggesting this, but hopefully I'll have somebody to fly with him. But these things.
Sit in passenger seat?
I don't know. I don't have the details. I just have the horror thoughts.
Yeah.
But anyways, he'll do it in a sort of safe way. But yeah, so just this is our time. If we're retiring or there's a change in our life, our kids are going to high school now, or we just had a child, or we have a new job, whatever, you got your new haircut. Getting I'm considering it. You're going to see this happen sometimes. I've had really short hair in my life, and I'm collecting pictures again. But when something big changes in your life, it's a time to go, just sit back for a moment, fill out your pillars, and see where you want to get better at, what you've been doing. Keep those papers, though, because in 5 years, if you've been doing this, you can look back and be like, oh my gosh, I really sucked at that then. But now I feel good about that. But today I want to work on this. So I think it's just having this consciousness, this purpose of being conscious. It's not the purpose of my life is to blah, blah, blah. The purpose of my life is to be conscious in every moment. If I plan to do X, Y, Z today and you need me, X, Y, Z no longer matters.
Yeah.
I'm with you. And so just knowing what's most important to us, what makes us unique and what we want to build skills for or really express. Like maybe your purpose is more the singing. Like maybe in 20 years you're like, okay, enough of all this. I'm going to sing again. My mom did that. She sang in community theater professionally. She did all the things. It was never her job though, but maybe it could have been because she loved it so much. So, but we always get this opportunity to revisit, but we got to make the opportunity. I think that's my biggest answer. So that's hopefully the answer to that question for her, just to get conscious. Yeah, conscious of what's going on. Well, thank you very much for joining us for another episode of Thrive Beyond Weight Loss. We're so glad that you were here, and we'll see you next time.
The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on the Thrive Beyond Weight Loss podcast belong solely to the host and guest speakers and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any associated organizations or health professionals. The content provided is for informational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider with any questions regarding a medical condition or health objectives.